What's going on, gang, and welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk about why silence is so important in your beats, and we're going to take a look at a couple examples of how it can make your beats 10 times better. So let's jump right into it. Okay, so the three reasons that I'm able to come up with right away on why silence are so important in your beat. And by the way, there's probably tons and tons more that I'm not thinking of, but these ones are the big three. So the first reason why silence can be so amazing in your beat is because it allows your instruments to come back in and hit harder. Think about it like this. If you have your 808 playing constantly, the 808's always hitting and it's just always there, right? But as soon as you have the 808 hit and then you leave space and then the next note comes in maybe a beat or two later, that 808's going to come in super hard again and hit even harder. So that is one of the main reasons why space and silence can be so helpful in your beats. The second reason is that it can really help you establish bounce in your beat. When you have spaces in different areas, your bounce is going to be different and you're going to have a different feel and groove throughout your beat altogether. And a good way to think about this is your percussion or your hi-hats, for instance. Leaving little spaces in your hi-hats can really give you a whole different groove and bounce to your beat and make it that much better. And the third big reason is that it's going to leave little areas and little pockets for the artist to go ahead and do their own spin on. When you have shit just playing constantly the whole way through, the artists can obviously do their thing on it, but when you leave little gaps for them and little spaces and room, it allows them to be a little more creative and they can fill in those gaps with their own taste and style. So the big things that space and silence can be used on, where it will be noticed and recognized the most, would be the things that are playing consistently throughout the beat, right? So the melodies, the 808s, and the hi-hats / percussion, depending on which one you're really using. So let's take a look at a couple examples in Ableton. I got a project pulled up right now, and we're using space in all different kinds of areas of this beat. And let's take a look at how it really affects and makes the beat that much better. So first and foremost, let's take a look at this 808 pattern we got going on here. As you can see, we got a note playing, lots of space before the second note comes in. We got a little dilly-dally, it's playing around a little bit, and then another space, and then it comes back in. But listen to how that space lets this next note come in that much harder. Instead of having it play consistently the whole way through, like you could definitely do that and it would still sound good in certain cases. But if you're having the 808 play consistently through, it's just not going to sound the same. So let's go ahead and let the rest of the beat play as well. And we'll take a look at the pattern again, just so you can see how it's going to make that 808 hit even harder. So you can see with those little spaces in there, when the 808 comes back in, it just hits so much harder and stands out above everything else. Okay, let's take a look at these melodies really quick because there's a lot of actual silence and space going on in the melody. Now, I didn't actually create this melody, but let's listen to it really quick and you'll hear where there's little gaps and things like that, especially towards the end here.
Fearless, run it up.
Little bit of space there. You hear that little bass stab go, and then there's a little bit of space before the next instruments come in. Let's go ahead and open these so you can kind of see what's going on here. So yeah, we have the bass stab play right away. There's nothing really going on here, nothing too crazy going on here, and this is more of like a little perk thing. So listen to that really quick. So it almost waits like a full bar right here before all the melodies start coming back in again. Do you hear all that empty space at the end of it? Yeah, we have a little bit of echoing here and we have this little percussion thing doing that. But even if we took this out, for instance, like let's turn this off, you can hear it, pretty much everything fizzles out right around here. And it's not just because I chopped off the ends. The ends don't have anything extra going on here, okay? That's just how I have my beat set up. So yeah, as you can see, with all those little different spaces and silences and different parts like that in the melody, it makes it so much unique and gives it so much character and develops that bounce as well. Gives it a whole new flavor. All right, lastly, I want to look at the hi-hat pattern that I did in this. I put a lot of space and different things in the hi-hats, which is something that a lot of beginners aren't doing, so I want to challenge you to try this out. Try taking out different parts of the hi-hats, just leaving it empty, and then bringing it back in and stuff like that, instead of having it 4 on the floor the whole way through with little rolls here and there. So let's take a look at this hi-hat I have going on really quick. So you can see I'm leaving lots of space right here. I'm taking out one part right here, leaving lots of space again, taking out that part again right here. So it's just duplicating over and over again. But let's see how the bounce sounds when we do that. Gives it that crazy bounce, right? And it lets that snare, when the snare comes in right here, the hi-hat isn't playing on top of the snare, so it gives the snare its own room to breathe and hit even harder. Let's listen to it one more time. Yeah, so you can do this with your hi-hats and your percussion and different things like that, and you're going to get a totally different bounce than if it was 4 to the floor the whole time. Like, if, for example, if I just went ahead and filled in these gaps and went across and did that for the whole thing. It would be a totally different bounce, and it wouldn't leave as much room for the snare or other percussion things to go in there and shine themselves. One last thing about leaving some silence and room for other instruments. I guess this wouldn't necessarily be silence. It could be in some cases, but another thing that can be really useful is if you have a lot of stuff going on. So like you have a percussion, a hi-hat, an open hi-hat, you have all different kinds of things going on here. It can actually be really useful to cut out some parts. Like let's say this was playing at the same time as one of my percussion, even though it's not. If it was playing at the same time, I might take out the percussion and let this play by itself so that that and the percussion aren't playing at the same time. One thing that I did do in this beat was this roll that you see right here, I actually moved it, because before the roll was playing right here at the same time as this, and I didn't notice it until I was actually going back and finishing up the beat. So what I did is I just took the roll and I moved it a couple before so that this roll could play and then this percussion could play afterwards, and they weren't going at the same time, and it lets each one have their own little part in the beat without them having to fight over that part of the track. And you could even take this out if you want to go even crazier with it. Alright guys, so that wraps up the tutorial on silence and space in your beats. We looked at why it can be so useful to have it in your beats. It can make it hit way harder, and it can just give you more pizzazz and groove in your beat. And then we also looked at a couple different ways that you could use it in your own beats. So definitely try these things out and let me know how that goes. If you guys like this one, make sure to smash the like button for me. Also, subscribe to the channel if you're new here, because we're uploading daily videos that you're not going to want to miss out on. And besides that, I'll be catching you guys again in the next one. Peace out.